You said that you started having conversations with someone at Veterans Administration about the needs. What brought you up to that point? Tell us a little bit about your history and why veterans and veterans' needs are so important to you.
You know, it's been something that it's been a stop-start process for me over many years. I'm 64, enlisted in the Marine Corps at 19. I was absolutely clear, kind of like that sign on the refrigerator you hear jokes about, you know, go ahead, leave home while you're 16, while you still know everything.
Yes.
Yeah, I
yes,
was that
that
guy.
one.
I was, raised in, born in Ballard, early years in Holly Park on Beacon Hill.
You were born in Ballard?
I was born in Ballard.
Oh, so you are a local.
Well, we refer to it as Ballard
yes.
now, but it was Ballard then. And then raised in Westlake Sammamish area, Issaquah, Washington, when it was very, very rural, very tiny. So I was really very, very, I think, protected and had a really privileged childhood in streams and creeks and fishing and kind of a very calm life. And I had a lot of clarity at the age of 19 that I really wanted to do something that would make a difference. So I thought, okay, let's join the Marine Corps and let's go stomp out communism, because the labels of the day were, if we don't stop it there, we'll have to stop it here. Sound familiar? Does to me. So, you know, that 3 years in the Marine Corps, whole series of experiences, combat tour in Vietnam, lost a lot of really fine friends who, there were more than friends. This is one of the things that happens in veteran environments, I think. People in the military, they become bonded in ways that it's very difficult to explain or articulate, but it was, these people would have done anything for each other, anything, to protect each other, defend each other. We really, you know, we trained as a unit at Pendleton, lock-on training. We did amphibious landing exercises. We were on naval vessels going from Hawaii to the Philippines to off Vietnam. We were on, landing, events and missions in country, and were in country, and we just were very young and very clear and very committed, and we ran into chaos, just complete chaos, that I think probably altered all of us. In many ways, the veterans are altered, and it was very, very difficult. And so when I came home, I got back, and I felt very disconnected from, didn't really understand it. A lot of survivor's guilt, a lot of anger, a lot of, I just was very disconnected. So I jumped right back into school, worked nights, went to school days, worked days, went to school nights, got through community college, got through University of Washington, was married, started a family, young children, eventually worked my way into law school, worked, and went to school at the same time, got out of law school, and then I was sort of sitting looking at my hands like, what do I do now? Because I didn't realize, but I was on this kind of displaced energy from the military, and I think I've probably had maybe 6 or 8 different chapters of understanding and trying to deal with things that happened at 19, 20, 21 in the service, and it's been very confusing at times. And what happened a couple years ago is I finally I realized that actually our insurance agent, who sold us medical insurance, said to me, Jerry, why are you buying medical insurance? Why don't you go to the VA? And I said, I don't have a service-connected disability. And he said, well, you were wounded. Why don't you? He says, if you were wounded, you go to the VA. So I didn't know that at all. So I went to the VA, and I met the head of the PTSD section, and I started talking to him about these issues, because they were really troubling to me, that there were so many people disconnected and so many people suffering. And when I sat in the VA, when I sat in the medical center the first time, Kim, it was, I don't even know how to describe it, but I saw these people walking by me of my generation, men and women, in such impaired health, so harmed, so really just struggling. And I realized how fortunate I was not only to have come home and have a family and survive, but, you know, I have the chance to get an education and to work and you know, do things that were important to me, and represent individual people and their families in different settings. And I realized I was looking at these men and women as though they were 19 and 20, and now they were in their 50s and 60s, and some of them suffering from, you know, advanced diabetes and other exposures and other injuries and things like that. And I just felt this need to do something. And being a lawyer isn't enough, you know. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. You know, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a brother. And, you know, I've got a law degree and I practice law, but I'm more than that. And as I was talking with Miles I mean, he got that, he could see it, and that I was kind of straining at the boundaries of the business world. You know, how can I do something kind of like with the same spirit that I had when I was 19?
Right.
How can I do something that would matter, not just be an economic benefit to myself, or, you know, how could I do something? What do you do? How do you help? And he helped me. He helped me try to clarify that. And it was kind of the beginning of a reconnection, because I started going up to the VA just to sit and watch other veterans, and then I would talk to them. And then I found myself, if I saw a veteran sitting in a medical clinic someplace, even in Seattle or in the courthouse or anything, I would just go up and talk to him. And all of a sudden, I felt kind of it was a reconnection.
You started to feel that you kind of realized what it is you were supposed to connect.
Yeah, it's like I had a bond with them.
Wow.
And they immediately felt, and I could see that we all felt it, but we had just walked away from each other in a way that was a reduction in our lives, a loss. It was a diminishment. And we weren't any longer, by the way, kind of like the name of your show, I wasn't any longer walking the talk with regard to that community that I really was a member of. You know, I would do things in the legal environment for my clients, but I was no longer connected with the group of people that, you know, are my brothers and sisters.
Right.
You know.
What are you seeing as you go and you sit out there now? I know you're from the Vietnam era, and by the way, welcome home.
Thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
very sweet.
What are you seeing as the the Iraq War returned, the veterans returning? Are they being treated differently, do you think, than you were, or are they suffering similar issues, or
I think
are they different?
It's a really good question, and it was, again, something I didn't know the answer to. So instead of formulating my own thoughts, I went and talked to some very good friends of ours who had a son in the Marine Corps, and he had come back from Iraq, and he had had a very difficult time staying out of the Marine Corps. And that's a phenomenon that is very, very common with veterans. I almost went back in. I'd been out for just a short time, and if I hadn't met a young woman, if we hadn't fallen in love and started a family and life moved on, I would have gone back in, because I had the sense that they needed me. One less set of eyes, one less rifle, one less vigilant person, one less person to protect the group and forward the objectives, which I thought at the time were righteous, principled objectives.
Right.
That was a reduction and a risk to the people that I loved and care about. So I met Oliver. And Oliver, young man, we went to lunch, and this returning Marine veteran who had had dramatically different experiences in his life than I had, did not know me. We were reconnected 5 minutes. And he was talking to me about things that were in his heart and mind that he was struggling with, and I knew exactly what he was talking about. And I could share my own perspective and what I had learned in the intervening decades. But he was struggling with, they need me. My outfit is still there. How do I know how they are? As I sit here in Seattle in a restaurant, how do I know that they're okay? I need to be there, etc. And he had parents that were trying to help him shape his future, and he felt sort of morally, ethically, in terms of his own principles, that he was abandoning his brothers